Okay, guys, so today I'm working on the Super Mini, getting it ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to start off by turning this baby on. Yesterday we prepared everything more or less, and today I'm going to be loading it with ink and priming the dampers. I'm just going to open up all these valves now, get the ink flowing through. Keep the caps a little bit loose at the beginning, just because I recycle the ink once I pull it through. I'll put it back. So I open the valves and loosen my container caps. I'm going to open up the valves here with the clips. Okay, so ink is flowing. Okay. Well, that's ready. I'm going to turn on the machine, move the head over. So I check the alignment when it first starts up. This is the first time this printer is booting up, just to make sure alignment's okay. Sometimes it's off, and I've got to change that. So it is off. It's over. The head is over too much this way. So what I do in this case is I'll move my film back, because I'm going to move my head over here or right over, and I don't want it going across the film. So what I need to do is adjust the capping station so that it moves over, so that it's center to the head. It's over too far, and it's exposing channels right now, which will cause problems in the future if you don't get it centered perfectly to the capping stations themselves. So to do this with the Super Mini, I can find my tools. What is it? UV's done now. I finished testing. It's all back to normal. You can print. We're done. Yeah, it's done. I'm just getting a little toolkit out, and up here on printers, you have a sensor. Either it's the actual sensor, or it's like a piece of metal that registers for a sensor. So on the Super Mini, the sensor is actually attached to the printer head. So it's just a piece of metal here, like a metal tab that you slide back and forth to adjust where the printer head sits on your capping station. So I've got to move it over a bit so it goes over more, because it's not sitting on the capping station properly. So I just adjust it a little bit at a time. And after you make your slight adjustment, I just move it back. And in order to reinitialize properly, you actually have to shut the machine off and turn it back on, and it'll reinitialize in the new position that I just moved that sensor piece on. Oh, where's my flashlight? There you are. Okay. So it's initializing, and I'm just making sure that it's centered. Damn, got it in one shot. That is bang on center now. I check the front and I check the sides. So if the side has to be moved, if the side is off, that's a manual move. You actually have to move the whole capping station. If it's just side to side looking at it from the front and you see that it's off a bit, that's just the sensor at the top that you have to adjust to move it over. So this one here, everything looks nice and centered. So we're all nice and centered now. And the capping station is going up too high for my liking. So I'm going to change the settings. I'll bring it down to show you how I do that. I'm on YouTube as well live here, guys. So this is YouTube and TikTok. Okay, so we're going to open up Print XP. I'm going to connect the printer so that it reads it. This light should turn green. There we go, loading in the perimeters. So now I've got to change the perimeters because my capping station is sitting too high. So it's really squishing it. Here, I'll just move it. I'll hit origin, it'll go down and up. And you'll notice the capping station goes up super high. So I want that. I don't need it as high. That's too close to the head. So I have to make an adjustment so that it doesn't go so high. So I'll just go into my Print XP, go into my advanced settings. I don't know if I got to change things to English first. So when you first start these up, sometimes it likes to open up in a different language. So you got to change it to English. Apply it. Okay. And then you actually have to restart the program itself because now it's told the printer to be English because your printer has memory. So all of your settings and your configuration and your perimeters, they actually go and get saved into your printer itself. So now I've made everything English. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to my advanced. Go back into it. I'm going to go to my ink stack, and that height is the wetting and the pumping of the stack height. So you have a wetting and a pump ink stack height. Those are normally the same, okay? So I'm going to change that because I want it to be a little bit lower. So all you do is just change it. I usually change it by the thousand. So, and I know by looking at it, I've got to drop it down to about maybe from 16 to about 13 maybe, and we'll see where that lands us. So I'm going to change that. So I'm going to hit this confirm button, and it's going to, I'm going to hit this confirm button, and it's going to show me where it's going to sit now with my new settings. Now I hit test. And now you see how it sits a little bit lower now? I'm going to go down and just put it to about, let's try, I want it a little bit lower. So we'll go to 11. Our pulse is at 11,000 now. I'll confirm that. I'm just watching this. I'll hit confirm. It'll go down and up. I need it just a hair higher. So I'm going to put it at 12 will be my final setting. So I'll go 12 and 12. So that's my ink stack for when it wets. That's how high I want it. Now when it flashes, so every time you print or you do a cleaning, it does a flash in between the clean. So this one is set to 9,000. And I'll show you what happens when I hit confirm here. goes down and up, and it should just be a hair. It shouldn't be touching the printer head like it is. It needs to be just below it a little bit so that it flashes, but not too far down, just where you see a hair. So I'm going to adjust that down a little bit from the 9,000. I'm going to go to maybe 7,000, and then I'll hit confirm. It'll show me the new position of 7,000. And now I'll hit that. And now I don't know if you can see it too well on there, but there is a small gap now between the printer capping state, cap top, and the printer head itself. So that's what you kind of want when you're flashing, is just a little bit of a gap. And then for scraping, you have scrape the ink stack. So scraping the ink stack is where it starts and ends, like where this, the height of this blade is when it's actually cleaning your printer head. So I'm going to test out where that is when I actually hit it. So scrape the ink stack. I'm going to confirm that. And you watch it here. And what I'm seeing is making sure that this blade is just above your printer head plate here. Just above it. So that when it cleans, it just cleans on your head. And then you have a start point and a beginning point. So I'm going to show you that now. So that height looks good. That's about the height you want, where it just kind of goes over that head a bit so that it'll wiper blade your head. So I've confirmed that. So what I'm going to do now is go to my doctor bar. And on your doctor bar, you have a scrape start place and a scrape end place. So I'm going to start with the start. So this is where it starts to clean your head. So I'm going to confirm my start place, and it'll go down and show me where the wiper blade starts to clean. And you want it, oops, there. So you want it, try to get it, there's an angle. So you want it just before that part of your head, the end of your head. You want it just before the lip so that it catches your head. And then when we hit end, where it ends, so this is where the wiper blade will stop when it's done. Oops. So I'll confirm that, and it goes over, and that's where it ends. So that is way too far. It's got to be closer to the head. It's really far from the head. So I'm going to cut that down a bit and then kind of move it back inch by inch and see until I can find the right spot where it just sits just after the head. That's where you want the blade to stop, is just after that head. So I need it to go just a little bit more forward. And what I'm doing is just adjusting the scraper end place here. And I'm just adjusting it by one. Just by one. 81, 82. And every time you confirm it, it moves a little bit here. So I'm going to confirm 81. And then it moved it just a little bit more. I'm going to move it to 82 and confirm that. And then when we do our cleaning, I'll show you guys the cleaning part. Oops. Let's confirm that. So that's about the right distance from the end point. So that's the end point of the cleaning. And then the wiper blade goes down and your head goes back. And then it does its flashing after that. So when you have those perimeters found and you've made all your perimeters, you save it. So just save your perimeters. And now that's how it's going to clean my head when I do my cleanings. And we also adjusted the ink stack height here for the pumping, the wetting, the flash, and then the scrape, how high the blade goes when you actually scrape your head. You don't want it going too hard on it. So you've got to just find that right position where it just kind of gracefully goes along and wiper blades like wipes your head just nicely. Not, if you have it too high, it's going to be way too hard on your head, and you definitely could potentially damage your head. So it's still in this position. All you need to do is just hit the reset button here and it'll put it back to base. So then it just puts it back in the position and settings that you have it at. So let me just raise this up a little. Okay, so now that I have those settings ready to go, I'm going to, hey, no hey audio, no, oh, no audio. You should be able to hear through this. I thought I had this mic hooked up and it was working. It should be Bluetooth, and I thought it would be working better, but I'm guessing not. I guess I have to cut. I'm just going to turn it off. Yeah, I think there was an audio issue. I guess I'm going to have to talk louder. I tried to get this. I got the DJI mic. I put it on via Bluetooth, but I think I'm being told that there's no audio. So I think it's cutting the audio off of my TikTok on my phone when I connect this. So anyhow, I'm going to try to talk a bit louder. My phone is really crap for these lives. That was the feedback I got yesterday. So I'm just going to try to talk a bit louder so the mic picks me up, I guess. So yeah, we're at the point now. I kind of went through with no audio there on how to set the ink stack and how to set your cleaning and wiper blade heights. But now I've got all the lines open for the testing, and I've got to prime. I have to prime the dampers now and get them ready. So I'm going to just close this, and we are going to get these ready. I'll just put the mic back on me for now, I guess. Okay, so I've got my film moved back so that I can leave the printer head right here while I'm doing my work. So we're going to do its first priming. It's brand new heads, brand new everything. So I've got to remove these, get to my back dampers, and then start priming. I'm going to grab a new syringe for this. Make sure that YouTube can kind of see here. Get a new syringe. So I mentioned this yesterday, but I was online. I was looking online for something to maybe make it easier to prime my dampers. So you can do it with just the syringe, but I found these, they're like they're for syringes, but they're to put in animal noses or something, to put medicine in, to medicate. But I looked at it and I thought maybe I could use it for something. So what I do is I put this at the end of it. I found this on Alibaba. So, and it's really cheap. I got like, I don't know how many of these, like 1,000 of them for like nothing, maybe under $20. Like it's, so what I do is I put the end on and then I cut it. I'll show you as soon as I get the scissors. And what I do is it's too long. It's actually open at the end there. There's a little hole, so it does squirt, like it has air going through it. It's just very small. And again, it's for like applications up animals like noses or something to put medication in there. But I'm using it for priming. So I cut it just kind of where it's just getting to a little bit of a pointy part there, like just as it comes down, and you just cut it off enough where you can leave it to go in your damper. So it just kind of makes it easier to slip in, and your syringe doesn't like slip out as easy. It kind of goes into it a little bit, right? So I got that on. So now we can syringe. We're ready to prime these dampers. Because they're new, I don't have to use any drip stoppers or anything, but I might put them on just because it's got when you first get the printers from the manufacturer, they do have moisturizer in them, and inside the head and in the capping station as well. So I'm just going to get some drip stoppers so I don't. This is a brand new printer. It's going to a customer. I got to keep it clean. So I'm going to grab some drip stoppers. So these aren't the original, but these are like the concepts I made up before I made up the drip stopper. So they just kind of sit on it and make it so it doesn't spill anywhere. Now there's nothing in these dampers. I'm just doing it to keep it clean and neat because it does have some red moisturizer, and I don't want to have to wipe it all up. I'm going to put these dampers up here. I'll just take out the white for now. Just throw the drip stoppers on to keep it clean, because it does have red moisturizer. See the red moisturizer on the bottom? I just don't want to put it up here and have it kind of go on something, so it'll be nice and moisturized, ready to go back on the head. So what I do here is I'll just line it back up. Line it back up. Okay, my dampers are in order. And now I just temporarily flip them back here. I can find something just to weigh it down. I just use these for now. A bunch of my tie wraps. Maybe I can just sit something on it to kind of just to hold it down. As long as it's not too heavy, not a lot of pressure, but it's fine to do that. Just I'm going to use these tie straps here just to hold down the top. Now I can get to my back dampers, my color dampers, and I can start to prime all of the color through now. What you'll need for this is some paper towel for sure. Because you do not want to be making a mess. So we'll put the paper towel here. Let me see how YouTube's seeing here. Okay, I'll move it over a bit. All right. I'm just going to put a little piece under here, and that way if anything drips from pulling out the syringe or anything, it'll drip onto here, of course. And then you want to prevent from getting any liquid or leaks down the sides of your cable, because what that'll do is the ink will seep down the side. Now we have it protected with some silicone and some, like we have it come a little bit of protection, but it's hard to get 100% protection. Even if you put silicone, we try to maximize the head loss, right? And liquid damage. But if you get liquid on the side, it will drip down and it goes into the circuitry, into your printer head. And that's what will cause a short in your printer head. And that could potentially end the life of your printer head if you get liquid down the side of it. So you want to really prevent from getting any liquid anywhere. So what I do is I use lots of paper towel. Don't be afraid to use paper towel. Okay, even if you're great, you still make mistakes. I've been doing this 3 years. Yeah, maybe I don't. You're still going to drip. You're going to have the odd drip here and there. So I've got my syringe ready. I'm ready to start priming and pulling all of my ink through the damper. So I'll pull out the first one. black. When you're pulling through, you can start on the side, start sideways, and you can start to pull your ink through. Now, it seems like there's restriction, so there must be something cut off somewhere. Let me see where the flip must be closed somewhere. Ah, I see what's happening. So I opened up, so I have valves on my test inks. So the valves turn it off. You can turn it on and off with a valve. I also put, just for added measures, I put clips on these. But the original clips, the black one, I was trying to pull through it, but it's closed. So you want to make sure if you have clips that they're all open. So that clip there was restricting me from pulling the black through there. If you're ever trying to pull through your damper and you find that there's drawback, like it's actually pulling back, that's not a good sign. That means that your air's cut off somewhere in your line and you need to fix that. So I just put that clip on, should be good. Or open the clip up. It's just like this one, you can open and close it, right? So it just needed to be opened. And now the black ink should flow through. And you can start off sideways. And see, now I have no drawback. It's actually, I can feel the ink pulling through now. So there it is there. So you can start on the side, but if you're priming, you don't want to just pull from the side. You want to, there's still air in there if you do that. And what you're trying to do is get all the air out of your damper. So you got to hold your damper completely upside down and then start to pull. And with the brand new dampers, I like to let it breathe a bit. I'll push back. So if you see it's breathing there, the one side of your damper goes in and out. So what you do is you pull until you see no air inside the damper, and then you push back to have it bubble out just a little bit. You don't want to go too far because then when you pull out your syringe, it'll squirt. But I push back a little bit and I might get a drip here from pulling it out or two. So I got like 2 drips there. I'm just wiping my syringe off. So after you do that, I should have got a little piece of napkin ready. Get a little piece of paper towel and just wipe up underneath. Now what I like to do is I'll hold the paper towel there. If you have a clip, I'll close it. So that way it kind of helps when you're putting it back. It'll hold the ink in, because if you're putting this back and you don't put it straight in and you touch the side at all while you're trying to put it in, ink's going to drip out of here and onto your printer head, and that is potentially going to cause liquid damage, and we don't want that. So once I get it primed, I have no air. I seal it off with a clip if you have one. It's not necessary. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then you put your damper straight back in. Again, making sure that under here is clean and there's no air in the damper. And then when you've achieved that, carefully just put it back into place. And again, not touching the one side. So I'm kind of holding it over to my right more, because the side that leaks is on the left. And then I'll find that hole, I'll line it up, and then just push it right in. Oops. Let's get it lined up. You just line it straight up with your other ones and then just push straight down. And then when you're done that, you can open it back up if you have a clip. And then I just put the clip back down to the bottom. And then I move on to the next one. So I'll pull out the yellow. Fix this. Once you start to get a little bit, if you're dripping a lot, once it starts to get a little saturated, change this, because it will start to drip through to the bottom. And then it'll, of course, get on your printer and make a mess. So I've done the black. I'm going to recycle this back. I'm just recycling it back into the ink container. So don't waste ink. Let me give it a little rinse, and then I'll move on to the next color. Okay, so all I did was recycle the ink, and then I just rinsed this out to do my next color. Again, starting sideways, just pulling through, then upside down to get the remainder of that air out. Side to side. If it's not coming out, just you can kind of hold it upside down and go side to side with it as you're pulling. And that way it takes out the air as well. And again, I push it back. I do it a couple of times just to make sure that that is full of ink and no air. And then I'll push it back out. Just let it bubble out a little bit. Come back down slowly, holding the syringe, of course. Pull out. You'll get a bit of a drip. Have a piece of napkin ready, just a small piece. Again, I close it off. That way there's no air. I have no air inside my damper. That's what you're looking for. Clean underneath, straight back in. So again. You just have to be really slow and careful when you're putting these back. And you won't, as long as you're slow and steady and you're not touching the side, it's not going to leak. And you're not shaking it vigorously. If you're just nice and slow, find it, line it up, and push your damper in, you'll have no leaks. You should have no issues. So now I'm done my yellow. This is getting a little bit saturated, but it should still be good for a couple more drips. I'm going to recycle my yellow. Rinse it off, move to the next. So these print heads are 6-channel, but we have CMYK. So with some of our printers, we have CMYK, then light magenta and light cyan, so LC and LM. But in this case, you'll notice that there's a Y here. So it's taking the C and the M, and it's splitting it into 2. So now you can use all 6 channels for just 4 colors, your C, M, Y, and K. So I got 2 C's and 2 M's now. So 2 of my channels will be putting through cyan, and 2 of my channels are going to put through magenta. Because I only have 4 bottles, if I had 6 bottles and 6 lines running through, I could run my light cyan and my light magenta. But all you need to do in this case is if you only have 4 color, but you have 6 channel, you can actually change, just add a Y and just put the same color, the 2 cyan and have 2 magenta, and it works the same. It's just fine. So I'm going to do my 2 cyan here and then do my magenta. All right. So because it's kind of crisscrossed, I'm going to pull out my magenta temporarily, close it off, and that way it's not in my way when I try to put that cyan back. It'll be out of my way. when I try to do the other cyan. So I'm going to move this up, prime my cyan through. And now what I do, oops, I'm going to show you guys. When you do the Y split with your other color, cut it off. Cut the air supply off for now with a clip. You can use forceps if you don't have the clips as well. But what you want to do is you want to cut the one side off. Oh, I'll cut that side off now. So you want to cut the one side off so it puts all of the ink in here with no air. And then I'll show you what to do to keep the air in here afterwards. So I'm going to pull this through the first one. Get all the air out. Let it breathe a little bit. And then just have a little bit of a bubble out. Pull that off. It's going to make a little bit of a mess. So again, now I'm holding this. I have no air here. I'm going to cut the air supply off there. So now when I suck from the other one, or when I'm priming from the other one, it won't pull from here. So that's what ends up happening. If I prime this one and I put it back and I don't close or seal off the line, when I go to prime the other one, it's going to draw from this one. So you want to restrict that from drawing when you do Y out your colors. You want to make sure that you prime one, restrict it, put it back, do the other one, then open these up. So I did the one. I'm going to put it back nice and straight. Again, making sure that the bottom is nice and clean when you go straight in. And just push down. And now again, I'm leaving this closed. I'm going to just take this, I'm going to take magenta off completely for a minute. Just move that out of my way. It's just getting in my way. So I'm going to do my cyan. Let's just sneak these behind here for a sec. Try to sneak them behind there. Okay. So I'm going to do my other cyan, then we'll put the magenta back. So I can still use this syringe. I still have a bit of space in it. So now I'll pull this one out, open this one up, and then pull through this one. I just had enough space there to do two. And then push back a little bit of a bubble. I'm holding down. Gonna let it leak onto a spot that hasn't been leaked on yet. Again, cleaning the bottom of it. Cutting off the air circulation there for now. And then just putting it back ever so carefully. Yeah. And now we can open these two up. And now I have no air in my line. I have no air in my dampers now. Now I can put my magenta back down and we can do the magentas. So there, and those will go in like that. So I'm going to leave the one side closed again. It's on a Y. If you have both open, it's going to draw from the other. So I'm going to keep this one closed and I'm going to prime this one first. I'm going to recycle this actually first and then do that. Recycle, I'm rinsing. Yes, I'm from Toronto. Sorry, I'm not seeing the chat because I'm sitting here working. So I can't really watch the chat log at the same time as working, or at least being able to show you guys what I'm doing. But yeah, I am from Toronto. I have a shop in Toronto. I have a shop in Texas as well. So one in Canada, one in America. So I'm going to change this. It got a little saturated and it's going to start to leak through the bottom. So I'm just going to put a new piece in there while I do my last two dampers here, my magenta. So I'm going to, again, I have the one side closed because I wired it off to make two magentas because of my 6-channel. So now I'm going to pull and draw this through. And what you're also looking for here, if it's a new machine, is any leaks in the damper itself. Now, I've never had any issues with my dampers, but I'm always looking. You're always got to look for any kind of flaws or any discrepancies and fix them right away. So I know on this one, I pulled it through. There's no leaks. I'm going to just clean the bottom of that, close it off. Now there's no air. I'm going to put this damper back. It's good to go back into position. Okay, once you get it, again, just being very careful. I'm holding it more to my right because I have a little bit of give there. Because if you touch the side on the left-hand side of these dampers, if you touch this, that'll start leaking immediately. So if you're putting it back and you touch the side just a hair, just a touch, just anything by accident, even if it's closed off, I do that for extra measure, but it could still drip and it could still cause liquid damage. So you always have to be careful putting your dampers back. So I'm going to open this side now. I'm going to draw through here. Maybe I can do it with one shot here. Fill up the damper, upside down, back and forth if you have to. If there's any little air bubbles, just to get those air bubbles up, just once you're upside down, you can go left, right, back. Just keep going all different directions until you get the air out. Once there's no air, a little bit of a bubble back. So it's just bubbled out a bit. Don't push too much. It will squirt everywhere if you do. I'm going to have a little bit. Oh, there. So sometimes you don't get it. That's like, we call that the perfect prime, right? Like there's barely any ink even coming out of there and there's no air. Oh, there's a little bit of air. My bad. Let's try that again. So there is one little air bubble, but I want all the air out. So I'll just move it around, push back, and then pull out. There. Whoops. I'm going to empty this. Ugh. I was trying to do it in one shot, 2 dampers, 1 syringe, but sometimes you got to empty it in between. I just couldn't get up high enough there to get that last little bit of air out, so it kept putting it back in. So now my syringe is empty. I can just do it normal now. I was just trying to get away there with some stuff. I'll push back, down, out. Wipe the bottom, seal the top, put your damper back in place. Okay, and then once you get them both back in place, you can open up both of your clips or take off your forceps if you're using forceps. There. So now all of my color is primed. So that head is ready to go, ready to load some ink through it and start doing some cleaning. So now I'm going to recycle this ink. I'm going to clean this off and we're going to move to the white head. Rinsing off my syringe. Okay. Just going to put a new piece down. I'll use this one just to wipe the bottoms. I'll just cut 6 little strips here. I'll just use these to wipe the bottom when it's time. Now remove this, pull my 6 dampers down. Now I'm going to prime my white through here. Now I don't have the pump going yet, so that hasn't circulated through. But you can just pull. Okay, one thing you want to do here as well is either have them in, or if you have clips, seal all your other clips, because I have a white reservoir manifold up here and it holds all the white, and then it distributes down to the 6 dampers. So you've got to close these again, just like the Y. You got to cut off the air from going in here. You're going to be pulling from the other ones. So what I do is I just clip all these down, or have them in if you don't have the clips, or use forceps. These are your options. So now I have all 5 of my dampers sealed off, and I can start priming. So I'll prime this one, I'll seal it, put it back, move to the next, and have them all sealed at the end, and then open them all up. Let me just get a piece of paper towel in front of me here in case I make a boo-boo. Put that on there. Make sure the syringe is pushed through. And now we can start pulling our white through that we don't have in there. I've got to put white in. So let me just put some white ink in the container. That's part of my issue here. Sitting there pulling and I don't have ink in there. So again, any white ink. This is our House Special Supreme White. We do carry a couple of different kinds of white. But what you want to do is really agitate and shake it very, very, very well before you put it in. Any white, you've got to make sure it's shaken very well. 3 minutes if you have to. Now I shook this earlier, so I don't need 3 minutes, but you should really make sure that your white is shaken. The color, not so much, but your white, you really want to make sure it's shaken up. So now when I run it in here, it's going to pump through. When the pump activates, it'll start to suck the white through. Oh, I'm going to open this up. Okay. Okay, let's get some white in here and have it circulating through. Make sure that the valve is open so that the ink can flow. All right, looks like we're good there. Everything looks good there. Clips open there, so it will circulate. Clips are open. Pour some white in there. Let's get this baby circulating. There we go. So the circulation's on a timer. So when it activates, you'll see the white start to go through here. But but it's just, I've had it on for a few minutes and it's just not pumping right yet. It's on a timer. I can change that and just turn it on. But I'm just going to suck the ink through and it'll be fine. And now just moving on to the white dampers, of course. Sorry, just adjusting the YouTube feed. Okay, so again, all these are closed, so it doesn't suck air through or pull. Start drawing the white. You gotta suck through a bit to get it going in the reservoir. I'll just do a few of these, and then it'll start to pull through. There it goes. And again, so you just pull through, upside down, back and forth until you get no air. You're seeing red on the bottom of the damper. That's just moisturizer from the manufacturer. It's dyed in red. Again, wipe the bottom, close this off until you're done priming. Move to the next one, open it up. So again, just straight in and on. Okay. I'm going to go empty this, recycle in between each time. So I'm opening this one up. Take off my drip stopper. Start to fill this baby up. Again, I'm just pushing back and forth here. It's a new damper. It's never had ink in it. So I let it breathe. I make it breathe a bit just to push all that ink through anywhere. And so just to ensure, again, there's no air in that damper. You don't want any air in your line and you don't want any air in your damper. And you want it to bubble out just a bit. So you push back just a bit. I know I probably sound like a parrot, but I'm just making sure you guys know how to properly prime. Again, closing this off so it doesn't draw from it and make air in another damper. And you just have to reprime that one again. And get the, again, I just ensure quickly, no air. I've got it clean on the bottom. And then straight into the head. Recycle, repeat. Oh, see, so what happens if you don't do the pushback? So I didn't push back enough there. And then when you pull your syringe out, just air goes back into your damper. So that's why you really have to make sure you give it that little bit of a pushback so that when you release the syringe from the damper, air doesn't kick back into there. So that's why I give it that push. I'm going to give it a bit more of a push now. Now you see it's bubbled out. So now what it's going to want to do is it's either going to want to push a bit of ink out or I did it perfectly. And it'll put no air back in. So that was like the perfect prime pretty much there. It came out. A little bit of ink is showing there, which means no air went back in the damper. Now I can close this off, move to the next. Again, opening each one up as I go. Zip stopper off. Recycle, repeat. So once we get this prime, guys, I'll go through, we'll do our test print, and then I'll go through how to actually align your printer so that you have no white exceeding your image, okay? I'll show you guys how to actually do that. Just got to get these all full first, do our first load inks, do our first cleanings, and then our very first nozzle check to see how we did. Again, right upside down, guys, no air. Kind of moving, tilting side to side. I'm pushing back a little bit, sucking, pushing back a little bit, sucking. Making sure, again, there's no air. Once there's no air, push back a little bit, let it bubble out so that when you pull your syringe out, you're not allowing air to go back in. If a little bit of ink comes out, that's a good thing because it's not putting air back in your damper. As soon as you start getting air in your damper, you're going to start to get bad nozzle checks. And, you know, you could think it's a clog, but it's not a clog. It's the fact that there's not enough ink. There's too much air in the line, so it's not pushing it through all the channels properly, and that's why you're going to get those breaks in your nozzle checks. So my nerves are on edge today. All right, drop that there for a sec. Recycle this. All right, last damper here. Let's open it up. This one's going to squirt quite a bit. Yeah. Push that one back hard. So again, I close this just for a second. It's the last one. I still close it as I put it on. Okay. So now we've got all 6 dampers, well, all 12 dampers primed. We got our 6 color, our 6 white. They're all primed. Now you can open them all up. There we go. Now we're all opened up. And now when you get to this point, of course, you're ready to load ink. Start your cleaning, and we'll do our first nozzle check, see how she looks. Let's see if we got any work ahead of us to get it cleaned up. I'm just recycling. We used a bit of white ink. I'm just going to put some white ink back in the tank, refill it back up. Okay. Live discontinued. Why? I hate these lives, man. Sorry, I have no idea what the hell happened there. TikTok asked me to put puzzles together or something, and then it just kicks me off my live. So it's like I have to check on it periodically, and it wants to make sure I'm still human, I guess, or something. I don't know. But it asked me to put a puzzle together, I guess, and it cut me off. So sorry about that. All right, so we're done priming here now. I'm just going to move the head back. You could just hit origin. Just put your head back in place into the original positioning. So now we are ready to load ink. I'm just ensuring that my waste tank hose is in the waste tank. We're ready to do our first load ink. I'm going to unplug this for a sec. I can kind of show you guys. YouTube, you're kind of restricted because you're stuck on a cord. I have to figure out the YouTube one still, because when I try to live stream YouTube without this thing corded in as a webcam, it just cuts off. So in any event, YouTubers or TikTokers can kind of just watch it go through. So these are I'm going to load ink. These lines here, these are the two pumps that drain your capping station, okay? And that's what goes into your waste tank. So for the first time, come over here. I'm just going to take you off this YouTube live here. I'll turn YouTube to show you this on here. Okay. On the screen. There. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. So what you want to do is go over to your tab, settings tab. Make sure your margins, I'm going to set them to 15. I'm not sure where my 0 is yet because I haven't done my first print. Normally it's set up to 0 and it prints like in the proper spot. But you can change that as well where your 0 starts. So I like to just put it at 15 when I first get these, just in case it's set a little bit back, and then it doesn't print on the, it won't print on the metal guards or anything. I just put it at 15 to make sure that it prints between here and here. So you go to load ink. And again, this is the first time that we are loading ink through this. So this will show the pumps. They're all working and sucking through properly, and as well as the capping station. So I did the alignment and I did my settings on how I want it to clean earlier. So I got that all set up. So that's all those settings are done already. That was in the last live, I guess, because it kicked me out. Not liking that. I guess I have to keep on watching my screen to make sure that when TikTok asks me if I'm human, I show them I'm human. Okay, so we load. So we're loading ink first time in this printer. There goes the color. See, it's all red first because that's the moisturizer when you first get it. But then that red will start to turn to white because that's our white head. And the color, of course, is it kind of comes out black because it's mixing all the colors. So now it's sucking through there. It's going into my waste tank. So I have it going into my waste tank. I load ink for the first time for probably about, 40 seconds or so. Just to make sure all the ink gets right into there. So I'll go about 45 seconds here. And then I'll stop it. So now I've loaded ink through my head, but you don't perform any kind of check until you do a cleaning. So we'll go to our cleaning. I do a strong and then 2 weak cleans, and then we'll do a nozzle check. Just come down here. I'll let you guys see how it cleans. Let's see if I can get you low enough here. So I set to where, oops. I set to where it wipes the blade, or the wiper blade wipes. So you can see that. So there's a nice amount of ink coming out of both. It's going to move over. It's going to go up. Wipe both heads. Then come back. Oh, I got to change that setting. So right now it's set to wipe twice. I only like it wiping once. Twice isn't really necessary. So that's cleaning. I'm going to change that setting now, and I guess you guys can see how you do that. You want the wiper blade to wipe once or twice. So what you do is you go into your advanced settings. We'll go into here. Oops. So you go to your ink stack. Sorry, where is it? Let's swipe this down to here. Not your ink stack. Go to your doctor bar. Okay. So you have sprayer 1, sprayer 2. So there's up to 8 on this one. If I go to 3, it'll be at 0. But because it wiped twice, sprayer 2, that's the second time around. So if you don't want it to do it twice, just set these perimeters to 0 and save it. And now it'll just wipe the one time. Okay, so now I have that saved. I noticed on sprayer 1 it didn't go over as far as I'd like. I'm just going to have it go over 1 more millimeter. Save that. And then I'm going to perform another cleaning and make sure that these settings are correct now. And watch how it cleans. So we'll close that. I'm going to hit clean again. We'll do a weak clean. Then we'll go watch the printer head. And again, just ensure that my settings that I just did are all there and correct. Try to get you guys lined up before it starts moving here. Okay. So you'll notice as it comes down, there's ink coming out of both. Lots of nice ink out of both ends. And it'll go over and it'll wipe itself now. Now it goes up, wipes itself across. And back. And now it's only going to do it once this time because I just changed the setting. So it goes up, flashes, comes back down, and then goes back up. Okay, so it's cleaning. We're going to do one more weak clean, and then I'm going to perform the test, our first nozzle check. So again, just one more cleaning, clean, weak. I'll move the film down, and then we'll do, again, our first nozzle check. Hopefully it doesn't cut me out of the live again. I don't know how it keeps doing that. Okay, so our second cleaning's done. So we've loaded ink for 45 seconds. Then I did a strong clean. I did 2 weak cleans. Now I'm going to move the film forward a little bit. Get it to a nice clean spot. This is just our test film, so the first little bit is probably a little bit dirty. Something's happening now. Let's see what that's all about. See how it's making a mark here? I don't know if that's something on the roller causing that. I'll just stop and check and see if there's anything impeding or on the roller. They seem fine. I'm going to push through a little bit more and see if those streaks continue to come through. I think it's on the actual film. Funny how this is why it's our test film. It's not always the cleanest. It's kind of damaged film that's come in, but we can do our testing on it because it is our original film still. Okay, so I'm gonna do a nozzle check on this, which is fine. We'll do our first check. Go to my settings, make sure they're still at margin 15 because I don't know where my 0 is yet, and then I'll do a check. Okay. So that's what I really like to see is just a nice clean. The only thing that's broken up is our black a little bit, which is no problem. We'll just have to do another cleaning or two, and that'll be cleaned up. So that is normal when you first have a print head, and that's fine. And we'll just do another weak clean. And it could use maybe even another loading. So if I do like 2 week cleanings, and it still is, as long as it shows improvements, that's the important thing. But right now, the black is pretty broken up, and we got to clean that up. So I'm going to do a couple more cleanings first and see if that cleans it up. And we'll do another load ink if we have to for another 20 seconds or something. You know, it's a new head. Sometimes to get all the channels flowing through properly, it needs some cleanings and it needs some loadings, okay? That's totally normal. And as you can see, my 0 is set wrong, right? Like, well, you see how close it is to the edge? I can leave it there, but because it's set to 15 as my 0, that's where my 15 starts. I want my 0 to start here when I actually push 0. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do one more cleaning, and then I'll just, when I do my next nozzle check, I'm gonna go into the advanced settings. I'm gonna change my 0 positioning, so I'll show you guys how to do that. And then I'll have it when I put 0 on my margins. When I put 0 here, right now, 15 starts here. I want 0 to start here. I'm gonna show you guys what to do to get that, to achieve that. Just doing a second cleaning. We'll see how the next nozzle check looks too after the cleanings. What we're going to do to change my margin, again, 15 starts there. I want my 0 to start there. So I just have this over the lip of my film, and that's where my 0 will start. Oops, right there. So right now that's at 15. So what we do to change that Okay, I want to change my 0 positioning. So because I had to put 15, I had to add to get it to go over. So we got to do the same thing in advanced settings. Oops. So all you do is go into your advanced settings, go over to other. Let's see if I can get that zoomed in there so you can see what I'm doing. So we go to other, and in here is your X white edge start. So that's your starting position for your 100. So now if I was to put 0, because I put 15, it's going to draw back farther. So now I'm going to go to stop calling. I'm going to show you guys this quick, and then I got to go off of here. So white edge start, I'm going to make that 115. I'm going to add 15 to it. Now it's probably too much, but we'll see where it goes. Right, not right now. I'm on live. Okay. So we'll set it to 115. Now I can go back to my settings, and now I can put this back to 0 and see where it prints now on 0. So I'll do a check. Looks like we need another load ink on black, so I'm going to load ink on the next one. But as you can see now, where the 0 is just after the gray bar. That's where I want it. It's just after that part there. Or did it print on it? Is that? I don't know if that's from that. I think it started there. I think that was from the last print. But yeah, so it starts there, and that's where I want it to start. So that's my new 0 now. And I've got to do another load ink to clean that up. So I'm going to go, and it's only on head 1. The white is fine. I'm just going to load ink on head 1, which is my color, and load ink. Okay, about 20 seconds or so. Now, if this doesn't clean it up, I've got to check my capping station alignment. So now I'll just do 2 weak cleans, and then I'll do a check, and we'll see where it's at. Again, I'm just going to load or do 2 cleanings and then see how the black's cleaning up. If it doesn't clear up, or if it doesn't clear up after that load ink, and that means that my capping station could be like this a little bit. So it's just offset a little bit. It looks straight, but it might be offset. So I'm going to try one more clean and then do a nozzle check. If it improves, it's good then. That just means that it needed the load ink and a few cleanings. That's all that is. May even be the damper. The damper seemed okay, but it's one of 2 things. If it doesn't clear up, it could be the damper is not allowing it to draw through, or it could be my capping station is still off a little bit. So I'm going to move the film ahead a little bit. We'll do a nice fresh one. There we go. Now it cleans up. Okay. So we'll do a check. I moved it over just a hair. Moved it over 5 margins on this one. Okay, so now you see that our black, after a second loading, now it's cleaning up. Okay, very small breaks now. Our white's looking like amazing. Every other color looks good. So all I'm going to do from this point is 2 more cleanings, and we're good. I can print like this. It's good to print, but I like there to be no breaks in my nozzle check. So I'll do 1 more cleaning, and it should be good. I got to log off for now. Phone's dying, and I've got to take calls on this as well. So I'll come back live, guys, before I do anything else. And I'll kind of show you how to do the settings for when you're doing your first prints and stuff, and how we get through Flexi and Print XP. But thanks for watching, guys. It's live now.